Dubai. Dubai. Home to the world's leader in the big tower pissing contest and also oil. Why is it so iconic? Why is it so big? Why is it so fucking stupid? Okay, to say its roots grow deep would be a bit of an understatement. It has essentially existed for as long as the Crusades have. You know, the other pointless thing which will probably have a video at some point. The earliest records of Dubai came from 1095, the same name of the steel everyone uses to make swords. Just a coincidence. The first mention of it came from a book called The Book of Geography by an Andalusian geographer who goes by the name Abu Abdullah al-Bakri. And yes, that is one name. Not much was said, as likely they were being bombed by the English. Oh, how the turntables. It was mentioned again in the journal of a Venetian pearl merchant Gaspero Balbi at around 1580, when the area heavily relied on pearl diving and boat construction, as well as being a pit stop for merchants from Europe and Asia. Think the dog on a tucker box in Victoria. Part 1. History. Its existence as a city can be traced to 1793, when the Bani Yas tribe settled with political power in Abu Dhabi and Dubai became a little bit more important. Quite a lot more important. In the 1800s, records suggest Dubai was a walled city due to a number of forts surrounding a large portion of the place, making it rather isolated until Britain negotiated a maritime truce with local rulers to open the place and its trade routes to allow businesses to thrive. By negotiated, it probably went a little more like, "Fuck you, open the place, here's some money, and if you disagree then there is a large fleet of ships ready to gangbang the place." Now it was a little more important due to being a pretty major trade route at the moment. Part 2. More history. The Al Maktoum dynasty can be traced back to 1833, when Maktoum bin Bouti of the Bani Yas tribe led his people to the Shindagar Peninsula, where he settled and declared the town's independence from Abu Dhabi. During this period, Dubai was seen as a fishing village. Even now, when there have been so many changes, the Al Maktoum dynasty continues to rule Dubai to this day. In fact, quite clearly there have been so many changes that the only thing in common with 1833 is the wide use of slavery. The village thrived and expanded a lot, and in 1894 trading was boosted again when tax exemption for immigrant expatriates was introduced. This led to a growth of foreign population and workers, and was completely dependent on the fishing and pearl diving industries. This was until pearls were rendered shit due to the invention of fake pearls in 1950. Naturally, the economy didn't like this, but you know what it did like? Slavery. And oil. And naturally, the whole of the UAE would evolve or devolve depending on who you ask, into this. Part 3. Why it bad? Now it has the largest dick in the world. Although all of the Emirates' economy was sourced from oil, most of the Gulf countries are trying to move away from it as 1. It is not sustainable, and 2. It is essentially environmental drug dealing where it makes dealers a lot of money, but in the long run it is bad for those who use it. But oil is not the main priority anymore. This is. Now, I am not here to bash the architecture of the Burj Khalifa, because it looks nice on the outside, and the inside. But on the inside, that's where it gets ugly. Really fucking ugly. Now, I will not get into the same details Adam Something does because it gets really bad, but I will link his video in the description. So here are some of my takes. The population is only 11% Emirati, while the other 88% are expats, who are immigrants, but the word immigrant is reserved for poor people. You know those islands where they tried to get people to live and somehow that failed because development failed to initiate? Yeah, me too. And they are sinking, obviously. But to understand how stupid they are, you really need to look at them. The sands they are made of? Not from the desert, because that would be too easy and practical. No, they are imported from the Persian Gulf and shat right on top of a reef. A fucking reef. Okay, so what do you get to justify such a waste of money and sacrifice of marine life? Some aesthetically pleasing islands that are sinking. So we wasted tons of Persian sand, marine reefs, and guess how much money these cost to build? 12 billion US dollars. And these are just the islands. Ignoring the terrible urbanization practices in general, because they're everywhere. What about the Massive Dick Building? Part 4. The Massive Dick Building. Guess the primary reason for the Burj Khalifa's construction? For people to live in? For businesses to have offices? Because the big tower look cool? Yes. The obvious one. I mean, skyscrapers have no point if there is plenty of land to build normal buildings, which there is. So why big? Oh yeah. Also, I guess the architecture is pretty nice, so you can cut them some slack on that, but how was the engineering? Okay, so like all pointlessly big dick towers, is that 1, the larger the skyscraper, the more foundation you need to prevent. Also, you need more than enough foundation to minimize the chances of... But they didn't want to just waste time on that. So they made a modular Y-shaped structure so it has a strong base and center of gravity, so it has a good surface area and means to distribute pressure when under stress. Or you can make a normal, more practical building that can look just as attractive. 2. The taller the skyscraper, the more fire safety measures you need, because the higher you are, the higher chances you have of being trapped at the top by a fire. If you can make it to the ground without being cremated, then you will want to use the elevator, right? Because it takes a minute to get to the ground. No. Ever seen those signs? In case of fire, do not use the elevator. That means you will need to use the stairs, right? Well, also no. There are 2,909 stairs, and to figure out how long it takes to climb this, then, not accounting for rests and struggling to fucking breathe during a fire, it takes up to a whole hour to climb up or down the skyscraper. 3. Sewage. The Big Dick building has no sewage or connection to such. It doesn't. That's it. All shit and piss that accumulates in the tower is taken out in shit trucks. So how do you fuck up planning to the point where you forget to add a sewer? So essentially it has a sewer, except this sewer is above the surface, requires manual labor to keep flowing, and causes traffic jams. And no, I am not doing a video on Dubai 2 or Jeddah, I think.